Meat is taking up too much space on your grocery bill. Today, we shrink it. I'm talking tacos, barbecue, meatballs. I'm talking butchery of large pieces so we can get multiple meals, many different cuts for a much lower price than if the butcher did it for us. Also, a lot of you have asked about high protein, low carb meals. Today, we've got these really great single vegetable subs. Let's get cooking. There's much to do. Life can be a struggle, but a good meal doesn't have to be. We can make creative, nutritious, and inventive dishes that won't break the bank. Welcome to Struggle Meals. We're gonna dive right in with Korean-style tacos, an awesome fusion of two of my favorite cuisines. I feel like the go-to here would be short ribs, but short ribs have gotten expensive because a lot of chefs started using them, and now there's a supply and demand out of balance. So I'm using chuck roast, and it's not so great if you just cook it like a T-bone, but it is so great if you braise it in delicious liquids and aromatic onions and peppers. It's gonna fall apart like butter under the hot Californian sun, and that is delicious. Get some pepper happening. I'm gonna salt this.
Yes, very nice.
Some high smoke point oil in the pan. So we are going to braise this, and it's going to be soft and delicious, and all the fat is going to melt. But searing is something we have to do now. We can't get that flavor back later, because this is when the temperature is hottest and all the natural sugars in here start caramelizing and turning into brown, delicious bits. Let me salt and pepper the other side. While that sears, I'm gonna start cutting up the stuff for our braise. So none of these ingredients right here are really gonna make it into our taco. It's more about flavoring the liquid. We got some garlic, we'll just smash it. Ginger, that will flavor our braising liquid. Nice. Our meat is seared, and now I'm gonna start building our braising aromatics. Here we go. All right, so right away you can see the onions picking up all the caramelized bits on the bottom of the pan from our searing. What we have here is gochujang. This is a Korean hot pepper paste. Fermented foods in general are really good for your gut health, but they also last an incredibly long time. This is how we preserved food before refrigeration. It almost tastes like extremely spicy miso paste. Don't worry about not using it all because it's gonna last for potentially years in your fridge. All right, so we're just gonna toast this ever so slightly. And now, drop the stock. Coming in with salt in the form of soy sauce, gonna do half a cup. To the package drawer for some free flavor in the form of honey. Here we've got 4 honey packets. Okay, mixing that around. Our chuck comes back. Now, braising is different from boiling because like part of it is sticking out. It's not fully submerged. And this style of cooking is perfect for a cheaper cut with a lot of connective tissue because for many, many hours, all of this flavorful liquid will massage our meat and the fat and connective tissue will melt and the whole thing will become super soft. So you can simmer this on the stovetop very, very low for like 2 or 3 hours, or I'm gonna stick it into the oven, 325. It's 3 hours, but remember, this only took 10 minutes. You don't have to do anything, so it's very hands-off cooking. Now we're gonna make some quick pickles. They accompany our spicy beef perfectly, and they're quick to make. You could even call them quickles. And we are gonna start with 50% water, 50% vinegar, 2 sugars, and some hot pepper. And while we wait for this to come to a boil and the sugar to fully dissolve within our liquid, we have to cut our stuff as thin as possible. We'll start with the garlic. Okay, there's the cucumbers. Coming in with some onion. Giving this some compression. How about some cilantro leaves? Okay, we'll just put those guys right here. And now we pour this over top. The hot liquid penetrates into the raw vegetables really, really nicely. And they're quick pickles, so they're crunchy and they're acidic and they're a perfect topping for our Korean tacos. But really, they're a perfect topping for anything. And that's great, because you're gonna have these for like 2 weeks. But keep in mind that it isn't a true ferment, so it is not shelf-stable indefinitely. To the fridge. It's been 3.5 hours of me doing nothing but sitting on my bum, and the beef is ready. Look at that. You can see that it has shrunk in size very, very much. That's normal from all the fat melting, but here's the beautiful part. I mean, just look at this. This was a tough cut, and now it's just falling apart. And even though the inside is really, really moist, letting it sit here in this liquid and reabsorbing it, it becomes juicier. You guys wanted high protein, low carb, everything. and we're gonna do it in the form of tacos. So here we've got our red cabbage tortilla substitute. Oh, gorgeous, beautiful. Okay, let's get our pickles. We've got some pickled carrot. Here's some onion. 1, 2. Just gonna give it one more dollop of gochujang on top. Finally, we're gonna use some fresh scallion. I'm gonna cut off the white here. I'm just gonna put these roots into a little tiny thing of water and they will resprout into new scallions. Chaka, 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 chaka. I can't wait to dig into it. Oh, this is probably better than a tortilla. It's not leaking at all. That has never happened in my taco eating experience, ever. So our Korean-inspired tacos are $2.99 for the whole serving. That means they're under $1 each, which is a really solid deal. I don't miss the short ribs. This is falling off the bone, and this is unctuous and delicious. It took 3 hours in the oven, but I didn't have to do a whole lot of work. So I hope you enjoyed this little, like, Korean barbecue taco journey. Here's a quick guide to cheap cuts. Remember, cheap cuts can be way more flavorful than the expensive stuff if you cook them right. So how do we find the right pieces of meat? For beef, brisket and chuck both come from the shoulder. These yield delicious results when cooked low and slow. You can also check out the round or the shank if you're looking for something with a bone in it that cooks wonderfully as a braise. On pork, look for the shoulder. It's got a lot of connective tissue and flavor. Or look for the butt, which is the same thing as the shoulder. Another great place to find some meat is in the loin. Very low cost, very delicious flavor. For poultry, I've always been a dark meat fan. Think drumsticks and thighs. It stays moist longer, it's more affordable, and it's way more delicious. So that's a quick overview. Let's start cooking. We're gonna make some barbecue chicken legs, and we're gonna get all that smoky, sticky, icky stuff happening without any smoker or a barbecue. The ways that we get that is by maintaining moisture. It's a drumstick chicken. It's dark meat. It's much more moist. We're gonna make our own spice blend. We're gonna save money there by buying the raw ingredients, and we can mix and match them how we see fit. And finally, we'll make a barbecue sauce. It's really not that hard to do. Struggle Meals Spice Tip 101. Buy single ingredient spices and build your own. You're saving money, and you can mix and match them well beyond what any major corporation can do, because no one knows your taste bud better than you. All right, here's my jar for our spice blend. We're gonna get more than just today's recipe out of it. I'm gonna start with paprika. To that, we're gonna add sugar, onion powder, get a little bit of garlic powder now, some salt, some pepper, got some cayenne pepper for some heat. Okay, put the top on, and ha-ha! Frankie's Spice Blend. It can be yours for just $16. I'm kidding, but did you see what I did there? They charge you a lot for a spice blend, and there's not a lot of work that goes into it. So buy your single spices. Make your own. You got a bag of drumsticks here. Oh, look, I've got this spice blend that I just made and didn't pay someone a lot of money for. I'm gonna take like 3 tablespoons of it, and now with some air in there, I'm a huge fan of spice mixing with raw meats in a bag. I mean, look at my hands right now. They're really clean. I don't have a bunch of raw chicken liquid everywhere and spices all over the place. It's all contained here, and frankly, it's like perfectly evenly distributed. Here we go, putting the chicken legs out. I'm a huge fan of the chicken leg. It's a great cut of meat. It's fun to eat. It's got a built-in handle, and it's dark meat. It's really all about the dark meat. So, very nicely coated. We've got all the flavors and spices of barbecue, and now we're gonna slam it in a 425-degree oven for 25 minutes. This is not the cheating of the barbecue flavor yet. We'll come to that later. Barbecue ain't no thing without some sides. Let's start with coleslaw. Can come in with some mayo, about a tablespoon of vinegar, and a packet of honey. Oh, yes, we've got some sweetness. Really, really good. Struggle Whisk 7500. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Just bringing it together. Tastes like coleslaw without the slaw. Thinly sliced pieces. Let's mix this around a little bit. How about some carrots? I'm very into it. Very nice. Just gonna let this marinate a little. For the next barbecue side, I'm gonna make mashed cauliflower. It's a lot like mashed potatoes, but it's much, much lighter. I'm just gonna break off the florets. Just cut them up, boil them, and put them in the sauce. Mash them up. Going in, going in, going in, going in, going in, going in. While the cauliflower cooks away, let's make our own barbecue sauce. Obviously, you could buy a barbecue sauce, but this is a cooking show, so I think we should make one. Every good barbecue sauce starts with ketchup, like a lot, like a cup of ketchup. So this gives us a tomato base, it gives us a lot of sugar, and it gives us that viscosity that we're looking for in a barbecue sauce. Sort of obscure ingredient, it's thick like molasses, because that's what it is. Honey, maple syrup, both great substitutes. I'm coming in with brown sugar. Woo! Vinegar. 1, 2, 3. Onion powder, garlic powder. To the package drawer to finish off our barbecue sauce. 3 srirachas for some heat. Oh, 2 mustards. Mixing it up. That is the struggle barbecue sauce #1. Remember, everybody's got their own barbecue sauce, and they add their own things, and they've got their own special ingredients. Make it your own, make it happen. I mean, obviously, that's f***ing delicious. Now, we need some love for our mashed cauliflower. We're gonna start with 3 packets of butter. Oh, yeah. Putting 1/3 of a cup in there. All right, so I'm putting the parm in here, and this is really an opportunity where you can put any cheese that you want. And I am going to throw some hot cauliflower in there, and hopefully it melts our butter and our cheese. So, I'm not gonna be a maniac here. All right, let's do our chicken. Look at those pieces. And now, dressing each one of these drumsticks, this is part of the key of giving us those smoky, delicious barbecue flavors without a barbecue. But how do we take it to the max? We put this whole thing under the broiler. The broiler is where really, really high heat comes from the top and just rains down heat upon the sauces that we have made ourselves and melts all the sugar, and that is how we mimic all the pitmaster flavors in a home oven. Broil. Oh, sticky icky. So we've got this unbelievable charred sugar barbecue sauce that we made. Let's assemble a plate. What do you say? Let's start with some slaw. Got our mashed cauliflower right here. Look at this delicious drumstick. I think it needs scallions. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Check out these scallion roots. I just put a toothpick through them so that they'd hold themselves up, and I covered them with just enough water to grow. Talk about food that just keeps giving. That is a sexy plate of barbecue. All right, let's see if we've done it. I mean, that is sweet and delicious. This whole plate of barbecue is $2.88. I mean, that's cheaper than any side at your favorite barbecue spot. Long story short, really cheap, really delicious. We made a lot of things from scratch. We swapped out high carb for lighter ingredients, and we mimicked the flavors of barbecue by using the broiler. I think it's a win. Many of you have been asking me what to do with a giant pork loin. I don't blame you. They can be had for as little as $2 a pound. If you chop it up the right way, you can get multiple meals with many different flavors. That's what we're gonna do today. Here's an entire pork loin. It's on the back of the pig, from the shoulder all the way to the back leg. This is the perfect kind of meat to start butchering at home. There are no bones, and it's very, very simple. There are many ways to break down a pork loin. I'm gonna show you what I think is the simplest way. It starts by dividing it into thirds. So here's the centerpiece. You can see the very, very lean end. It's gorgeous, just like that. But I think we should cut it in half so that we can have 2 different flavored roasts. Let's work on this end over here. See how it tapers? This tapering, it's not really great for the kind of cooking that we want to do. So this can be stew meat. Look at the 2 parallel lines, like where they stop. All this comes off. And this gets cut up into chunks. You can make kebabs with that. So now what we have here, they're like cutlets or thin chops. You can pound them out or not. I think we can get 8 out of this. I really do. All right, now this guy. Got our stew meat once again, our end pieces. You can see that this end is much, much fattier. See what a difference this is? Because I see that the ribeye is starting. This is so flavorful. These are gorgeous steaks. These, you treat them well. Look at that. So now that this is broken down, we can really see the lean end and the more fatty end. Breaking it down and cooking each one of these pieces the way it should be cooked, based on the fat content, that's the best way to cook food. I got a meal here, I got a meal here, here, and then I have another one here. The variety is off the charts. This right here, the pork loin, broken down, is $20. And obviously I can't eat all this at once, so I'm gonna start freezing up the pieces so I can eat it throughout the quarter ahead. I've got all my parts, I labeled everything. All these go into the freezer, and then I'm gonna cook these 2 ribeyes. This is a really flavorful cut of pork chop right here. Doesn't need a whole lot more than salt and pepper. Here we go, oil, and the chop goes in. Gorgeous. Keep an eye on it. It doesn't take very long. Here we have delicious pork tenderloin. Depending on how many people you have to feed and how big your pork loin was, this is one of potentially 8 or 9 meals. Cooking pork is just like cooking any other meat. You wanna make sure you don't dry it out. You wanna take temperature with a thermometer if you can. And the number one thing you can do to ensure that your meat is extra juicy is give it a little time to rest when it comes out of the pan or it comes out of the oven. This lets all the juices inside redistribute, and that way when you cut into them, they don't spill out, they stay inside. And that means more juiciness with every bite. Give it a try, you got nothing to lose. Really nothing at all, and everything to gain. $2 a pound? Come on. Ground beef is a great way to get some affordable meat in your system, and my favorite vehicle is in the ball form, the meatball form. And it doesn't have to be ground beef. You can make it your own, because the beauty of the ball is that you can put whatever you want into it. So let's make some meatballs. I'm gonna start with some garlic. My grandma always used to put raisins in her meatballs, so it's something that I've adopted as well. And I have them soaking in water here so that they don't pull moisture out of the meat. All right, so we've got some ground beef here. 80 lean, 20 fat. I mean, if I see something that's fattier, if there's 75-25, I go for that. Fat is flavor, remember that. I'm supplementing this relatively lean beef here with some pork sausage. And probably the best part about it is that it's got a lot of spices and herbs in it already. It's seasoned, so it brings a whole lot of flavor. We're gonna put an egg in there to bind. Going in with some salt and pepper. Parm. If you happen to have any stale bread or breadcrumbs on hand, you should add them in. But we're going low carb today. So I'm going with cheese and a refrigerator. Helps solidify everything, keeps it together. How about some parsley? Get a little pop of green happening in there. You don't wanna overwork it, but you do wanna make sure that the egg gets everywhere because it sort of solidifies a little bit, and that helps keep the ball in shape. Now I make my meatball. Boom. We're gonna put these in the fridge. I'm gonna do it naked so that there's fridge airflow over them and it helps dry them out a little bit. Remember, we're going carb-free here so that there's no breadcrumbs to absorb that extra moisture. So the fridge movement of air, that's what's gonna do it. Just 20 minutes. It's gonna solidify a little bit. I just did this week's crossword puzzle. Took me exactly 20 minutes, which is exactly how long the meatballs needed in the fridge. Okay, let's put some oil in the pan here. I'm using my spoon. I am putting the meatball in. We're browning here. If you have a deep fryer, it's a really great opportunity to get all sides at the same time. This is one of those steps that you just really can't skip because you get caramelized, delicious flavors. All right, so we've got an onion. This is beautiful. We don't need any oil in the pan because we have all that rendered down beef and sausage fat. All right, I am not making a spicy meatball, but I am going to make a spicy tomato sauce. Hot pepper right into the fat. Ooh, tastes like raisin water, because that's what it is. It's non-alcoholic wine. Raisins are grapes. Wine comes from grapes. So I am gonna deglaze the pan with my raisin water. I think it's brilliant. So deglazing just means that you're bringing the temperature of the pan down with some liquid, and anything that was stuck to the bottom of the pan is now released because of that liquid. Now we're gonna come in with a can of whole peeled tomatoes. These are really delicious. They are already pre-peeled, and if tomatoes are not in season in your region, this is the best bet. I'm gonna crush these tomatoes because I'm so hungry. The sauce is very liquidious, and we need to make it thicker, and we do that by adding heat. Look, our sauce right here is really, really liquidy, and that's okay, because we're gonna cook the meatballs in there. We're gonna braise the meatballs in the spicy tomato sauce, and maybe we have a spicy meatball after. So if you want it to be carb-free, you could be like most of the Italians and just have your meatballs in your sauce. But I know you wanna have a noodle. How do we keep it carb-free? Zucchini is definitely the easiest option for a vegetable that will mimic a pasta ribbon. But you could use spaghetti squash. Listen to the name, it's a cousin of spaghetti. You could also use a sweet potato. You could cut it up into nice strips and boil them real quick. Remember we were talking about moisture content before? Zucchini is like, it's all water, man. And so we can just toss them really quick in a pan and try to get some of that moisture out. Okay, you see how it's just starting to collapse on itself? We're done. Don't mess with it anymore. Well, the meatballs look gorgeous. Okay, meatball number 1, meatball number 2, and meatball number 3. So I'm just gonna put some sauce in here. I feel like I should put some noodles on top of it too. $2.41. We have a very high protein meatball with a very low carb pasta made of no pasta. First, I wanna try the meatball. That is very delicious. The meatballs are fantastic, and they really are so spicy. So, you asked me for a high-protein, low-carb meal. This is a perfect deliverance of that. Meatball is a great vehicle. It's affordable, it is high-protein, and you're able to stretch the meat out, but it can really be whatever you want. It could be turkey, it could be chicken. Not only is it a spicy meatball, it's a fantastic meatball. Give it a try. The raisins, forget about it. At this point, you should be able to envision a grocery bill with a much smaller meat portion because we swapped out expensive cuts for cheaper cuts, and it turns out the cheaper cuts have more flavor anyway. It's all about the techniques, the vehicles for these cheap cuts. It's the braising, it's the broiling, it's the baking, it's the meatball technique, stretching out the meat with other ingredients. And finally, these are all high protein, very low carb dishes. And I think that that completes the picture here because it's not just about low cost and delicious flavor, it's all about nutrition. And when we swap in fresh vegetables, we get nutrition. So it's like the triangulation of struggle meals. We have completed it. It's all here now. Welcome to Frankie's Corner, where I answer your questions. Fantastic question, Andrea, and there are a bunch of answers and ways to deal with this. The first is that we can stretch out the meat with something like a sweet potato, so there's filler. The other is to focus on the vegetable as a main ingredient. So I'm thinking chicken and broccoli, or beef and broccoli. Many cultures have this combination, and the good part is, broccoli has a ton of protein, more so, pound for pound, than meat. True.